Good day. Welcome to you. It's lovely to have you. Another day of Bhagavad Gita Sadhana. I'm Atmadarshan or Laura. And the weather here is very pleasant right now. Gentle breeze, some sunshine, but it's forecasted that we are going to get a gale force wind whipping through the area later. And so quiet hours end in this neighborhood at 8 a.m. Everyone's out right now, getting everything ready for the big gale. Including like my laundry is out here. That'll really dry it off to be caught in a gale. Anyway, I'm trying to stay calm about it. But life sometimes, have you ever noticed, conspires to throw us off kilter? And that's what we're talking about in today's Bhagavad Gita program. We'll be looking at chapter 17, verse 4. And chapter 17, if you recall, is about faith. Three types of faith, or shraddha, which is faith that's not blind but has been tested by experience. So in verse 4, we're going to see what the different kinds of faith are according to Krishna. And they are based on the gunas. If you remember earlier, we talked about these three elemental forces of nature: tamas, dark inertia; rajas, passionate activity; and sattva, luminous balance. Okay? You don't have to remember that. Here's Krishna explaining to Arjun the different types of faith that different types of people have. He says, "The pure worship the bright gods thee, passionate wealth and wrathful force. The dark ones worship the ghosts and all the hosts of nature's spirits." So this was a tricky one to translate because we don't have the words for the gunas in English. So I translated sattvic, luminous balance, as pure. It was a temptation to translate it as good, but neither of these qualities is inherently good nor bad. And in the first line, bright gods, that's also tough to translate. The word is devas in Sanskrit, which literally means beings of light, bright beings. Could be gods. It could also be qualities that make you feel light and bright, like optimism, joy, contentedness. And then we have the passionate and the dark. So those who tend toward sattva, the quality of balance, luminosity, purity, they tend to put their faith in things that would uplift, like optimism, joy, and hope. And we talked, was it just yesterday? Very recently, about how any one way you approach the world reflects your whole approach. And according to Samkhya philosophy, we are born with a particular guna or quality that's dominant. And I've equated it to wearing sunglasses. If you're born with a lot of tamas in you, it's like you look at the world through dark sunglasses. If you're born with a lot of rajas, it's rose-colored glasses. And if you're born with a lot of sattva, the glasses are clear. You can see through them accurately. However, it's still a barrier to seeing between you and what's really going on in the world. You're often born with these, as I mentioned, so it's really hard to change your perspective. And that's why people get into arguments. I'm rajasic, so I see the world through certain, like, effort, trying, striving. That's what makes things happen. While some of my friends might be like, there's no point in trying because nothing's going to change. And others are like, I'm so hopeful for the future. So we're kind of born like that, but we can also be affected by society and by our families of origin. You know, how they see the world. We kind of develop patterns to either fit in. Well, generally we try to fit in because otherwise we go, how can they see the world this way? Isn't it obvious that's not how the world looks? But it's very hard to see the world through another people, through anybody else's eyes. another person's eyes. So if you tend to have a luminous balance in your life, you're going to put your faith in these bright qualities, these bright actions, being kind, being loving, being hopeful, being optimistic. And if you're rajasic like me, then you'll put your trust in passionate activity, wealth, or wrathful force. So it's like, if this isn't getting done, I can buy people off. Or I try to make it work and force it and it doesn't and I get angry. Or doggone it, if I just try hard enough, it doesn't matter what the problem is. If I try hard enough and I get other people to try hard enough, that problem's going to be fixed. Does that sound familiar? Then we have the dark ones who are like, they worship ghosts, which can be interpreted as putting their faith in things that have worked before in the past. And we just cross our fingers and hope it's going to keep working. There's really no room for adaptation in this worldview. And the hosts of nature spirit. So materialism, hoarding things, putting up walls, something solid that they can grab onto. Do you see yourself in any of those? And you can change a little bit. You can look at switching out your glasses. Which way of having faith in the world appeals to you? I know, I mean, I keep trying, but wrathful force just does not work, nor does trying and trying and trying my hardest. So maybe today I will try putting my faith in something brighter. And speaking of today's dedication is to, well, I found out that here in the United States of America, it's National Future Teachers of America Day. That sounds hopeful, but all over the world. And anybody, it's not just like from my opinion, a paid teacher, but if you have kids, if you have a younger relative, if you have others you're influencing, you're a teacher. I'm putting my faith in you. All right, let's do our pose and then our contemplation. And then I have a plea, a request for help, which is very much against my rajasic nature to just do it myself. Here we go. Switch sides. All right, let's come on back. So if you noticed, I was sitting a little differently. I was squatting, and I'll be kneeling for the contemplation, despite my knees saying, please don't kneel on me, because the ground is quite wet. And I have a class, some of you know, kind of right after this, and I don't really have time to change my clothes. All right, tree time. Hopefully, you can't hear that with the microphone filters, but we will have our 5 minutes of contemplation. And I invite you to consider in what you put your faith when the going gets rough. Are you hopeful? Do you try to force it? Do you just give up? Default to old patterns? And what is that either doing to serve you or what is it costing you, that choice? 5 minutes. Welcome back. I wonder what you discovered today. I discovered that, true to my Rajasic form, even though my knees are not happy kneeling, I was going to power through and force them to do it. And boy, they're not happy with me now. That's that anger. That's the pain that costs me for my approach to the world. That might motivate me to take a different approach in the future. But it all starts with observation. Well, thank you so much for being part of today's practice. I do have a question, a request for help if anybody can assist. Ay, ay, ay. I thorns. I had one of you contact me and say that for the upcoming celebration of sadhana, which you can get to through the link below and sign up if you're interested, that they would like me to revisit a comment that they had made at some point during this year-long practice. And I've tried a Google Chrome extension that's specifically supposed to be able to search a whole channel for a specific comment on that channel, because quite frankly, I was thinking about if it's like 100 or 360 videos, and even if it only takes 30 seconds for me to get to each video, search through the comments, move on to the next one, that's still like 3 hours straight of searching through comments in just this playlist. So if anybody has any ideas, the Chrome extension I tried supposedly has a global setting where you can go to the channel, search everything in the channel, but when I apply that, it still says, no, you have to be on one specific video. Like, if you have any ideas, please let me know. Thank you all. May your day be full of faith, a faith that serves you. I have faith we will connect again. Until then.